Booyah, Navy Recruiting Command. Welcome back to episode 6 of Uncharted Waters with the one, the only, Admiral James Waters. I'm NCC Toteme. Today we're here with a couple special guests, but before we get to them, we do have a couple awards to announce. Drum roll, please.
All right, so the Master Chief Bacarian Award winners. And these sailors are the folks that from each class at Nauru that have gone out and achieved the most contracts in their first year after Nauru. So, for Class 2370, HT2 Ebony Bruce from NTAG Atlanta, Navy Recruiting Station Jonesboro. For Class 2380, EN2 Dalton Wood, NTAG Pittsburgh, Naval Recruiting Station Greensburg. From Class 2390, EO1 Raul Ramos, NTAG Miami, Navy Recruiting Station North Miami Beach. From Class 23100, MM2 Ariana Bell from NTAG Nashville, Navy Recruiting Station Midtown. And for Class 23110, ISC Hector Serrano, NTAG Empire State, Navy Recruiting Station Kings Plaza. And for the Officer Recruiter Distinguished Graduate winner from Class 2320, Lieutenant Omar Bailey, NTAG Southwest, NORS San Diego.
Booyah.
Booyah.
Congrats to all the winners.
Yeah, and we also have some acknowledgments for some of the great work that was done during Fleet Week Miami. We brought back, for the first time in a long time, the Swarm, which brings together 15 to 20 of our best recruiters from around the country to go augment the local NTAG. And our Top Gun Recruiter Award from the Miami Swarm was QM2 Marquis Lewis from NTAG Philadelphia. This recognizes the recruiter that generated the highest number of quality leads overall during the Swarm. And the Swarm was about 3 days. The Admiral's Outreach Excellence Award, ABH2 Dominique Simmons, NTAG New England, given to the recruiter who demonstrates exceptional outreach and engagement in high schools, colleges, and community events, resulting in the most diverse and promising leads. And finally, the Navigator's Innovation Award, ABH1 Anthony Similton, NTAG Atlanta, awarded to the recruiter who implements the most creative and effective strategies to generate leads, such as leveraging social media, organizing unique events, or collaborating with local influencers. And I just want to say congratulations to all the winners, and a particular thank you for the Master Chief Bacarian Award winners for their hard work in bringing in recruits right away, and the Miami Swarm for going out of your way and volunteering to come to Miami to help NTAG Miami.
Booyah, booyah. And as the Swarm Miami lead, I definitely want to say thank you personally because I was down there on the ground with the team and you guys did a phenomenal job. So now on to our special guest we have here. We have today a seasoned vet, a phenom, self-proclaimed best DLCPO in the nation, NCC Nicole White, as well as we have EMN1 who is going to be graduating from Nauru tomorrow and is ready to take on the horns of recruiting and become an absolute monster. Thank you so much for being here. NCC White, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey?
Sure. Thank you, sir, first of all, for having me. We appreciate being able to be here to represent NTAG New Orleans. I've been in the Navy for 14 years. I started as an LS3 in recruiting in September 2018 at NRD St. Louis. I've been in New Orleans, the DLCPO of the Pensacola region. I have 2 beautiful children, and I love recruiting.
Hoo-yah, hoo-yah. I do have a question though, NCC. You went from 3rd class to Chief Petty Officer. Is that in 6 years?
5.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Put some respect on.
Bravo,
Thank
Zulu.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
Hoo-yah.
done.
Thank you,
Leading
sir.
the way.
Yes, sir.
MMN1, can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Right. Thank you again, sir, for having me here. I'm very excited. I joined the Navy out of St. Charles, Missouri. It's a town right outside of St. Louis. Been in the Navy for 7 years. I served on board 2 submarines, USS Newport News and the USS Helena, and just showed up here 4 weeks ago, and I'm ready to graduate today, or tomorrow, sir. Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited to get out to Montana and kill it out there.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I love it. I love it. So NCC, can you talk to us a little bit about your journey? Was it standard or was it unique?
It was definitely unique because I have a standard.
I love that. I love that. Can you elaborate just a little bit more?
Absolutely. I came to recruiting with the intention of coming to work every day, never taking no for an answer, and doing everything that it took to make the mission.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Seems to have worked out.
It is, sir. I'm very grateful and still love it.
Yeah. So you are DLCPO in one of the most successful districts, one of the most successful NTAGs
Yes, sir.
in the country. Why don't we talk a little bit about what you see as the elements of that success?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I think one of the most very important things is like it really has to be in you, the heart and the hustle of what it takes to be successful. I think that you absolutely have to have a sense of ambition and focus. You can't be paying attention to the noise. You have to be focused on making the mission. And I think it's important to be resilient. You're going to get no, and that's okay.
In fact, that's part of the deal.
Yes.
In order to get a yes, you got to get dozens of no's.
Yes, sir, that's
right.
correct.
And just accept that from the beginning, and you get to your yes, and you make that you get that person in the Navy, and
Yes,
you
sir.
move on.
You got to be dedicated to finding out how many no's it takes to get to the yes. And when you find it, you just keep doing it, and it works every time.
Yeah. And so, I have talked about the fact that the line recruiter is the number one priority for me.
Yes, sir.
But before we came on camera, we were having a conversation about the fact that, I believe in the short 2 months that I've been in the job, that I've learned that the DLCPO really is the center of gravity of recruiting success. And I just want to kind of explore for a minute
Yes, sir.
how you see your role as DLCPO, and for the other DLCPOs out there and for the recruiters out there, what they should expect of their DLCPO in an organization that's firing on all cylinders.
Yes, sir. So I think that recruiters, the leadership team at Recruiting Commands from the DLCPO, you should expect management of their team, training their team, effective communication, and just consistency. It's important to DPR with your ranks every single day and to be consistent and thorough in going through what the prospecting plan was the tangible goals met, and training. Training is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as you're finishing up at Nauru, you've had the theory of the case. What are your expectations for when you get out to your ultimate duty station?
That's a great question, sir. My expectation currently is to hit the ground and fail initially and learn from my mistakes, and hopefully I have a great chief like you who can train me and actually make sure that I'm a killer out there recruiting. In terms of expectation, that's what I currently got, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. And what takeaways do you have to share from your time at Nauru? What things that have been meaningful to you as I'm sure there have been some things that you expected that are different now that you've been through the course. What stands out to you?
I'd say one of the things that stand out the most, sir, was the leadership here. Leadership here is exceptional. I came from a command that was very excellent with chiefs, but I know plenty of people in my class that was not the case. And I can say wholeheartedly that the senior leadership here restored the trust for a lot of sailors and what they are in terms of role. That was like by far the biggest thing that I took notice of here. Yeah. And then I guess in terms of the negative, what I took away was possibly the week 4 aspect of here. Week 4 covers basic form usage. It covers basic formatting of the recruit manual, and that's really it. And in my opinion, sir, I think it could probably be offered in a way that is either more in-depth here, that way we can hit the ground running better when we get out to our recruiting station, or maybe subtract it and put it at an OJT level, leaving up to the actual station itself to teach sailors.
Yeah, so Chief, what do you think?
Sir, I think that to get the results that we're looking for in terms of curriculum at Noru, for the MEPS processing documents, I do think that we could extend the amount of time that they spend going over and training on how to fill out the forms correctly. There is a lot of time that gets lost when you have key errors when you're processing applicants, so I do think it would be good to extend the time that we train on it at Noru.
Okay. And so when in your experience, the young recruiters that are coming out from Noru, what things in addition to that might you offer as lessons learned for the team, things that for the DLCPOs out there to pay attention to that you've had to put time and effort into, whether it needs to be at Noru or not. A new recruiter shows up. What are the focus areas for you to achieve excellence in as short a time as possible?
Sir, having a standard is probably number one for me. Let's set the standards early so that you have a realistic expectation of what I expect from you, and then I know what you expect from me, and we start off with a very good mutual understanding. I think that it's important to push the new recruiters immediately into their area of responsibility. We should be taking them to high school presentations immediately. The first time they don't have to do it, right? But the second time we give them the opportunity to try their hand at it. I also think that it's important to go over their planners with them. I know that we have the Opno 99, in place to detail how to make a planner, but I think having an effective planner is very important for a new recruiter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think about that?
I think that's great advice. I mean, obviously, you're out there killing it right now with your area. So I would absolutely agree. If it's working, it's working.
Yeah.
Why not take a lead?
So when you were on your submarine and the idea of follow-on orders came up, and talk to me a little bit about what went through your mind when recruiting became an option, and then it became a thing, and then it became the thing.
Right, Sarah. I was very fortunate on my first boat or second boat. I did do some pretty cool stuff, qualified really well. And when I was up for orders, I started thinking about the opportunities of maybe going out to sea or potentially coming recruiting. Obviously, here I am getting ready to go recruit, so I chose this option myself. I knew that it was right now struggling, and I saw it as a challenge for myself. Hopefully I can come out here and do well and be successful. I had a great beginning when it came to recruiting. My recruiter was very involved, super friendly, very open, and I saw myself as somebody who could be put in that position and succeed. I've always been good at talking to people, even with Missouri education, sir.
I don't know how to take that.
I recruited in St. Charles. I actually ran the St. Pete station. Who was your recruiter?
Petty Officer Harvest Hines.
Oh, okay. I wasn't there.
I was recruited out of
The St. Anne station?
St. Anne Station, right. Okay. Yeah. That was they owned my high schools. But he was excellent, and I saw that as something I could definitely come out here and be successful with, and I saw it as a challenge I was more than willing to take, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're cut from similar cloth, right? The way that you described coming to recruiting, that you did it voluntarily, you saw it as a challenge, it was an opportunity to do something that really you could sink your teeth into.
Absolutely.
That sounds very familiar to me and
I'm
how
sure.
I thought about it, right? So it's really good. Hey, Chief, I was hoping that maybe you could talk to Recruiting Nation a little bit about EPAs, right? So this is a New Orleans thing, the essential prospecting actions, I think the A is.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that and how that's impacted the performance of your division and NTAG New Orleans in general?
Yes, sir. So yes, at NTAC New Orleans, we've been using EPAs for this fiscal year. Commander Hooper and our leadership team came up with a prospecting plan that we utilize every day. There's tangible goals for what you'll do at the high schools, what your prospecting evolutions will include. And we found that holding the line with that very specific requirement for your prospecting plan produces the results that most NTAGs wish they had, and we're grateful we have it at New Orleans.
In New Orleans, what was your percent of the goal for April? I mean, knowing that all the NTAGs made mission, but New Orleans did what?
The most.
Yeah, the most. It was about 160 something percent, I think, of mission.
It was really high. Stop counting.
Yeah, it might have been higher than that. So if I get that wrong, somebody's going to call me or write me, I'm sure.
We'll edit that out, sir.
Yeah, we'll edit that out. So let me offer you the opportunity to ask me some questions. I've been kind of grilling you, and that's kind of unfair.
No, that's all right, sir. Because you've had so much focus on the N33 waivers and getting all these people medically approved, I know that may not have been your North Star, but now that we've kind of seen the effect of the first part of that,
Yeah.
we're wondering what's going to be next. What's going to be your focus for us?
Yeah, that's a great question. I see the medical waiver process, the N33 actions, as a means to an end, right? It was a barrier that needed to be knocked down, and it was so big and so important that I couldn't help but focus there first.
Yes.
Especially when I dug a little bit and figured out this whole ad info thing, which I will admit, on camera, I had no idea that this ad info thing really existed. I started hearing that term kind of on the sidebar of meetings. I think people were kind of afraid to tell me. We dug it out of a sort of a nuclear interview, if you will, with my team. And then they gave me the full number, and I was like, ooh, okay. Literally made me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you. So that relates back to the essential prospecting actions that you talked about. My next real focus is getting down to the nitty-gritty of prospecting and ensuring that across the entire nation, that every NTAG, every division, every station understands the weight and importance of prospecting. I want our team at headquarters to be using the data that's in Salesforce, to be looking at it across the nation and by NTAG, looking at each of the steps of the key steps of the sales funnel, from the attempts to contacts, to appointments, to interviews, all the way to shipping, looking at, hey, we plan to do this many, we did this many, very similar to the way New Orleans approaches it. And then what the next one is, what conversion rate between the two we expected to have, right? Because we in order to get to a goal for prospecting, there's a conversion rate that's assumed, and then look at what the actual conversion rate is. And if it's off, adjust our prospecting, because ultimately the show is shipping the right number of sailors to boot camp at the right times of the year. Excuse me. And one of the things we're finding now is the limit, we're butting up against the hard stops of what Recruit Training Command can do. And so in support of that, C&P has put the call out, and the fleets are responding with red ropers to come in for the summer to help us as we are bending the curve. But in order to avoid that in the future, in order to set us up for 25 and beyond and sustained excellence, it's all about prospecting. And that's where the eye of Sauron is moving.
That's awesome, sir.
All right. Anything else?
No, sir.
All
I
right.
think that's
What about you? What do
Well,
you got for me?
Sir, I'm still young. I haven't gotten out.
I'm still young. What are you talking about?
Very young, sir. Great hair. Sir, so I haven't had the opportunity to go out and actually recruit myself yet, but I can speak on what I've seen. And one of the questions I have for you, sir, is could we potentially look at maybe shifting the way that sailors come from the fleet here to Nauru? Ideally, what I'd like to see, sir, is potentially having sailors report from their ship to their UDA first. Maybe having some time to actually get set up, established there, and then coming here to Nauru to be educated. Is that something we could look at in the future?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I will tell you that I recognize that it is not advantageous for the individual to come here and then take 30 days to go house hunt, and then get into, or whatever it is,
Right.
whatever amount of time it is, and then get back into recruiting, right? You will have more time off after Nauru than you had at Nauru in some cases, right? That's not beneficial. It's not beneficial for the individual, and it's not beneficial for the nation, right? Because what I need is and what we all need is that recruiters are ready to recruit. And you come out of here pumped up and ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I agree with you. And so I am working with Navy Personnel Command to establish a routine where a new recruiter would go to the NTAG headquarters for a short period of time to get oriented with the leadership there, get to your UDA for an adequate amount of time. I don't know what that is yet, a week, 10 days, something like that. It might be more, I don't know. And then on to Nauru before you come back, and then it's game on, right?
Perfect.
That's the deal. Now, I will tell you, the challenge in that, as in many things in the Navy, is money, right? Because you're on a sort of a TDY basis as you're transitioning down to Nauru, as opposed to, so there's a longer period of time before you actually hit your ultimate. If I do that,
Right.
But I do think the cost benefit, the return on investment, is not only is it good for the sailor and their family, and I'm really sensitive to the fact that it's a family issue, because I think about any time that we've moved, it's hard the times that I've been off at school while they're somewhere else in trying to move or not move. But it's also, I think, we're going to get faster productivity out of recruiters, right? There's this anecdote that it takes about 6 months from the time we get a recruiter on board till they're productive. Mm-hmm. That includes time at Nauru. And I think there's probably some truth in that because of the Nauru time, the settling in time, and then the relearning, kind of remembering what you learned at Nauru. This cost would be a benefit to Navy recruiting, which, as I just talked about in an all-hands call here, recruiting is the most important job in the Navy. So we should invest in it. Yeah. So I agree with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Speaking about investments, EMN1, you had a question for the Admiral about Navy swag. Can you elaborate?
Oh, I can. Thank you, Chief. Admiral, sir, I'd like to hear your opinion on potentially looking at changing Navy swag that we're giving recruiters to recruit with. Looking at our competitors, which are the other branches, sir, they have excellent swag that they're giving out. They're giving out Yeti cups, laser pointers, trucks, all this crazy stuff, and the Navy's still handing out lanyards and...
Yeah, well, I will say first that I'm not sure the Army has really thought through laser pointers, because Army soldiers are probably going to have trouble understanding which end to point.
That's correct. Yeah.
Your point is well taken. I agree that we're a world-class organization. We should have world-class swag. Whether spending money on a Yeti versus another type of cup, right. We can have a discussion about that. But there are things that people just value that don't really cost that much. And we should be thinking through that. And there is a budget for swag. We have to think through where do we give it, when do we give it. I think we spend a lot of time and money on giving it out during like fleet weeks and things. And I'm not convinced. I think we have to continue to do swag at fleet weeks, but those don't have to be the coolest swag, because a lot of times you're giving it out to people that just are coming for a tour and aren't necessarily in the recruiting window. I mean, it's certainly a way to show sort of Navy. But when you are working with somebody, when you're at a high school, that's the real contact layer, and you should be able to have what it takes to do things right. So there'll always be a debate about whose swag is cooler or what swag is the right swag. And I bet you if an Army person decided to do a podcast, they'll be talking about getting swag as cool as the Navy's. Mm-hmm. But we're going to try to make them earn that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I like that. So as we get into the closing of episode 6, EMN1, I want to offer this question to you first. Tomorrow you graduate from NORU. What is advice you would give to an individual coming into week 1 that it took you a little harder to learn en route to week 6?
Great question, Chief. If I had to give advice to somebody who's getting ready to recruit that just came here week 1, it's don't be scared. The instructors aren't here to make fun of you. They're not here to bully you or beat you down. The instructors here are truly here to help, and they're gonna, if you give your all here, they're gonna make sure that they give their all to you to make sure that you're actually becoming a better recruiter, better salesman out of it.
Oh yeah,
That's my answer. Chief.
Beautiful
Thank
answer,
you.
beautiful answer. Now, NCC, you're successful in recruiting. What advice would you give to individuals that are out there and they're having a hard time at the moment? They're trying to find their niche. They're battling the market. They're battling processes. What is some advice that you could offer them to stay on the long road and things will turn around as long as they implement a standard and they improve their processes?
That's a really great question, Chief. And I think that that's such a good question because a lot of people truly are struggling. And I think that it takes a certain amount of relentlessness to keep going when you've failed over and over and over again, or perhaps you're not reaching the goals, that you want. I would just encourage them to ask for help. The heart of Navy recruiting really is people, and people are resources. So go to someone who is being successful and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think recruiters everywhere, it's a true compliment when you get asked, "Hey, I see you're doing well. What can I do?" And people want to do that. You see that on ships, right? We're the same sailors that are on ships. So that's great advice, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sir, any closing remarks for episode 6?
Yeah, this was a wonderful opportunity. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I am excited for you to be out there recruiting. Your first contract is going to be a pretty special time. I hope it's like next week.
I do too, sir. That'd be nice.
It would be nice. We got a little ways to go to make
Hit the ground running, sir.
Yeah, that's great. And Chief, thank you for all you're doing to lead the way in Navy recruiting at the center of mass of recruiting in TAG New Orleans. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Yeah. Navy Recruiting Command, thank you so much for tuning in on episode 6 of Uncharted Waters with the one, the only Admiral James Waters. Signing out.